Hello friends, welcome to our channel Scratch Programming Projects for Kids. Today we are going to learn how to make patterns in Scratch. Today we are going to make a right triangle and a regular triangle with the help of alphabet X and also with the help of numbers. So let's get started. I've already opened my Scratch desktop app. So I'm going ahead and deleting the cat sprite because we don't need it. I'm going ahead and getting a sprite which is a story X sprite. I don't want to have these costumes, so I'm going to delete them. I'm going to reduce the size also up to 50, and let me reposition it here. Now let's get into coding. So I'm going ahead and grabbing the first hat block, which is when green flag clicked. Here we are going to reset, like position it. What will be the beginning position of this X? We're going to put that here, the code here. So I'm going here and I'm going to go to X and Y. X I'm going to set to -120 and Y I'm going to set to 150. Then I'm going to looks and drag hide here. So when we click the green flag, X won't appear and it will be hidden, but it will be on this position. X has -120 and Y has 150. Now to make a right triangle pattern with the help of alphabet X, we need to know how many number of rows we want, how many rows we want to. We can just imagine it as in a pattern of rows and columns. So first we want the number of rows and then we want the number of columns. Let me make a right triangle with the help of 5 rows of alphabet X. So for that we need a counter variable. So I'm going here, I'm making a variable which is only for this sprite and the name of the variable is I. Okay, I want to drag it here and then I set I to 0 in the beginning. I change it to 1. Basically I set I to 1 in the beginning, and now we are going to draw this whole pattern with the help of pen extension. So I go to extensions, I click on this extension, and since we are writing the beginning code, so I will go ahead and grab this block erase all. Now I'm going to events when space key is pressed. So when the space key is pressed, the whole pattern will appear on our screen. So everything now, the whole code will go under this hat block when space key pressed. Now we know that I is a variable that we have taken to count the number of rows. So how many rows are there? 5. For that I'm going to take a repeat until block and then the condition is the equality check. This here I'm going to put the variable I, and here I'm going to write 6. So this loop will continue. The blocks which are going to be placed inside the loop repeat until will execute 5 times exactly. How? So for that we have to put one block change I by 1. So the values that I is going to take is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and as soon as it turns 6, the loop breaks and it comes out and executes the following blocks under the repeat until block. Now we want another loop. What that loop is going to do is, in each of the row we want the x to be stamped. Now we know that there are 5 rows, but now how many columns? Columns are equal to the number of each row. Like if the row number is 1, then the number of x's in that row will be 1. If the row number is 2, the number of x's in row number 2 will be 2. So for that I need another loop, and for that I'll take a repeat loop and place it here. Here this loop is going to repeat exactly whatever is the number of the row at that point of time. So it should be I. So I is going to take the numbers from 1 to 5, and the inner loop is going to repeat only for the whatever is the number of row, that many times it is going to repeat. So let's go ahead and now use our stamp function from the pen extension blocks to stamp our X. Now let's run the code and check what's happening. I press the space key. Now friends, we can only see one X here. Actually there are many copies of X, but they are all overlapping. So we need to arrange them according to the pattern that we are looking for, which is a right triangle. So for that I'm going to motion block, and here change y by, I'm going to get this block minus 30. Now let's run the code again. Now you can see that we have 5 x's, one under each other, but still we cannot see the triangle being formed, because again in each of the row the copies of x are overlapping each other. So now we have to move them ahead in the direction of x direction. So for that we have to go here to the motion block and change x by 20, so that it looks clear to us. And then let's run the code again and let's see what's happening. You can see that in each row we have, the first row has 1x, the second row has 2 x's, the third one has 3, fourth 4 and fifth 5. But still the whole picture doesn't look like a triangle, a right triangle. Our aim is to make a right triangle with the help of alphabet X. So you can see that in each of the row the X moves ahead by 20 steps. The X changes, the position of X changes by 20 each time this loop is repeated. So what we are going to do is, each time when the execution moves to the next line, we have to bring back the X back to the original position. So for that just one line of code is required, which is change X by, and here I'm going to put I times minus 20. Because each time this loop is repeated, x changes 20 times I. That's why we have to bring it back I times minus 20. We have to change x by negative steps. So we have to bring it back. The control has to come back to the beginning of each line whenever it has to print the new line or new row of x's. So let's run the code again and check it. What's happening now? You can see that we have a beautiful right triangle in front of us. So friends, now let's dive into making a pattern, a similar pattern with the help of numbers. For that, I'm going to take one sprite, number sprite. I'm going to take glow one, and let me go to costumes, and then we have to choose a costume 2 or maybe glow 2, then a third one as a number 3, glow 3, four, and 5. I'm going to reduce the size to 50 and I'm going to drag it here, reposition it. Yeah. So now I'm going to reduce the size even smaller, 40. And let's go to the costume, select the first costume and come back. Then our code for this pattern is almost similar to the one which we are going to make, except that it will be made with the help of numbers. So I'm going to copy this code into the new sprite, that is a number sprite. Just drag and drop. And now select the sprite and you can get it here. Now we are going to make one more variable, j, and I'm going to replace this I with a new variable j. Now I want to make the position of this, I want to reposition it. So I'm putting 100 here. Yeah. Now I want to repeat, basically the mostly the code is similar of both of the codes. Yeah. So now let's change it to A. So when I press the A button, the A key in the keyboard, the following code gets executed. Now what are the changes that we are supposed to do in this code? We have already replaced the variable I with j. So each time when the row switches, we have to reset the costume to 1. And when we are printing the row, a particular row, we want to switch the costumes the number of times we want. So now I'm going to, so if it is row number 1, then 1 should be printed. If it is row number 2, then 1 and 2 should be printed, and so on. So let's go ahead and go to costumes, go to looks, and go to switch costume to glow one. Then I'm going to take next costume and keep it here. Then I'm going to change X by 30 and change here this change X by I. Oh, sorry, I have to replace it with J times minus 30. So how many steps we move here ahead in the positive direction? We have to come back J times minus 30. You have to come back with the same number of steps in the negative direction, minus x-axis. Then I think we are almost done with our code. Let's run it and check it. You can see that if I press the alphabet A on the keyboard, this pattern is created. And if I press the space, then this pattern is created. So we are able to create both the patterns, a right triangular pattern with the help of X, alphabet X, and with the help of numbers. Now let's move ahead to the next pattern. I want to show you the picture of the target that we are trying to achieve. So these two patterns we have already made. Now we are aiming to make these two patterns. So let's try our hands on this. For that, let's go here, choose a sprite, and here I'm going to choose a story X sprite. I'm going to reduce its size to 50, and then I'm going to costumes. I want to change the color of the costume. So I'm going to keep this X and I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to copy this, paint, and paste it here. Then go to fill. I'm choosing the red color, and that's it. I have two costumes with two different colors, a blue color X and a red color X. Now let's go into coding. Let's go to events, then go to looks, grab this hide block, and then switch costume. This is all the beginning of the code. When we are going to press the green flag, then these all reset functions happen to execute. Then go to motion and go to X and Y, set it to minus 120, set X to minus 120 and Y to minus 30. Now let's make two variables. K and S. Set K to 1, set S to 0 and erase all. So why I have taken two variables K and S is, first variable is the K is set to 1 in the beginning of the code, or in the beginning of the execution of the code. So K is set to 1. K stands for the number of rows in the pattern, and S stands for the number of stamps that we are going to put in each of the row with the help of the alphabet X. So it is S. S is set to 0. Now if you observe this image, there is a pattern. If you observe in this picture, there is a pattern. Now what is the pattern? That in the first row there is 1x, in the second row there are 3 x's, in the third row there are 5, and then 7, and then 9. It means the pattern is going on like the odd numbers. So the odd number of x's are there in incrementing in each of the row. So for that I have taken two variables. I'm going to add them and get the odd numbers for each of the row. Okay, now let's start coding for the pattern. I'm going ahead and I've grabbed this block, add block. Let me choose the alphabet B when B key is pressed. Then I have to go here and get repeat until, and then the operators, the conditional operator, repeat until k is equal to 6. K equal to 6. And I'll take change k by 1 and I'll keep it here because that's how the loop goes on. Now I'm going to take another loop which will repeat the odd number of times. And here I'm going to put the plus operator with k, the sum of s and k. If you add at any point of time, you will get an odd number. So for each row, we will have the odd number of x generated. Now let me go here, the pen extension, the blocks of the pen extension, and I'm going to grab the stamp here and then next costume, because we have taken two costumes, right? So the next costume and change s by 1 here. Then as usual we have to change y by minus 30 so that we get one row under each of the previous row, and change x by, now here comes the main part of the code. So first we have to, inside this loop, the inner loop, I want to explain this first. The inner loop is going to be executed the odd number of times. Each time the loop executes, x has to change by some steps. So change x by 20 inside the change x by 20, and then when we come out of the loop we have to reset it, but not back to the same position. It has to go some steps more, it has to move back so that it looks like a triangle. So for that I've come up with a formula, and that formula I'm going to keep it here inside change x by here, and this, inside this we are going to put minus 20, because you know that we have moved 20 steps ahead, so we have to come back 20 steps back. Come back by 20 steps, so minus 20 on the x-axis. And here in this we are going to make some operation like this. Now our code is ready. Let's run our code. I'm going to press the alphabet B on the keyboard, and you can see that we have a beautiful triangle with a colorful X on our screen. So that's it, guys. We are going ahead and going to make a new pattern. So now let's move on to making our next pattern, this pattern with the help of numbers, the triangle with the help of numbers. So for that, let me go to the sprites, choose glow 1, go to costumes, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 2 more, 8 and 9. 8, and 9. Choose the first one, come back to code, reduce the size up to 40, and now we can copy the same code here, because more or less the code will be the same, only we have to switch the costumes. Let me copy this, drag it here. I'm going to change this to C, and I'm going to turn them off, and I'm going to make two new variables, A and B. As we have done before. And now I'm going to switch costume to glow 1, go to 100 minus 30, change it to A and change it to B. Then inside this code where C key is pressed, we have to change A equal to 6, S and K have to be replaced with A and B. Change X by 30 for better readability. This is A plus B. Change A by 1 and B by 1. And then switch costume to glow 1. So we'll go to looks, And that's it. We can run the code. We can see that the pattern has not come up correctly. You can see that we have made a mistake. We moved 30 steps ahead, so we have to come back by 30 steps. Now let's run the code again. You can see the pattern is complete and we have made our pattern. So we can press spacebar and then A, then B, and C is already there. So, and we can turn off these variables. So we have 4 patterns. We have made 4 patterns today. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Bye.